Have you ever experienced the frustration of having someone else ride your horse? Maybe it was your trainer, maybe it was a friend at the barn, and they did not experience any of the same problems or challenges that you have with your horse. Maybe you were telling them about these and they get on and they don't even feel anything. Your horse does great for them. Why does this happen? That's what I'd like to talk about in today's video. You're watching the weekly show here where I share riding information, training ideas, horse care advice, and more. And today I wanted to share a piece of a topic that I was asked to speak on. And it was this question about why do horses behave differently for the trainer? And I even expanded it a little bit more because I think that the same points here can give us information when a horse just reacts differently to one person versus another. And as a riding instructor with, we have a busy lesson barn, we have many school horses, I see this all the time, the difference that one person will have with a horse, the different experience compared to someone else. So let's jump right in and discuss 5 big factors that go into this. So let me just review these big 5 quickly, and then we're going to go into each one in more detail. So the first one is probably the most obvious. It can be the difference in skill in 2 people. The second one is sometimes different cues from the owner of the horse or just from one person to another. The third is a difference in emotional state between 2 people. The fourth is a prior relationship history. And then the 5th is changes in environment or management. So let's start off with a difference in skill. There's a few pieces that can go into this. The first one could be timing. So this is the timing that we release pressure, or the timing in that we give a reward, is going to be reinforcing or punishing whatever behavior preceded either that release or that giving something or applying a new pressure. So the timing of when we do things is so important. It can be the difference between a horse learning that tapping with a whip means going forward, or learning that tapping with a whip means kicking out. So the timing and being able to feel when the horse is responding and change quickly. Again, whether that's a release, whether that's if you're using rewards, giving a bridge signal, but a way of communicating to the horse what we want them to do. Timing is so important. The other thing is the ability to break down a request. And this is something that can take time to learn and to practice the skill of being able to, we have the thing that we want the horse to do. Maybe it's just to go forward better. But in order to actually get there, it works best to break it down. So we ask the horse to go forward, they go a few steps, we release pressure. Next time we ask for a little bit more and a little bit more. But the ability to break something down when a problem is happening, many trainers, many experienced horse people kind of do this intuitively. They ask for something, it doesn't work well, and they kind of change and they ask for a lesser version of it. But if another person just keeps pushing through and doesn't break it down, they might end up with a totally different behavior. So you have a horse that ends up after a few minute session going forward really willingly, or if that problem isn't broken down, you end up with a horse that's getting really resistant and maybe going into another behavior like starting to crow hop a little bit or kick out. So the next is physical abilities, and this is especially in riding, and this is just skill. This is just for, hopefully your trainer has a higher level of riding skill than you have. That's why you're going to them and getting their help. So if the trainer has just those abilities to be able to stay in balance with the horse, to influence the horse with their weight and with their movement, they're going to get different results. And then also able to read the horse. So there is, this kind of goes in with breaking down things, because when we can really read the horse, notice the small things, notice when the horse is just starting to change their emotional state and change what we're doing in our training in response to that, it can really make a big difference in what the next behaviors are going to be. Now the next thing I have here is different cues. So these are pictures that were just set up, but this is an example of asking for the same behavior of walking forward, and I demonstrated how there can be asked for this in 2 different ways. I actually got a very different response from this particular horse, but this is something that's so easy to do unconsciously. So in this picture, I'm asking for forward. I've got an upright body position. I'm looking ahead, and I'm basically starting the movement more from my center. In this picture, my hands look the same, my feet look the same, so I could have sensed, like, this could be 2 people thinking they're asking the same thing, but in this picture, because I'm looking at the horse, I'm leaned forward, and I'm more leading the forward movement with my shoulders and my upper body. To the horse, this could be a totally different cue. And then there's also a difference in the emotional state that we feel. So if one person has fear or stress or distraction, our horses can absolutely pick up on that. In fact, there have even been studies done that show that horses respond to the emotional state of people in pictures, and they also remember that person and will respond differently when they see them, when they interact with them later on. So it is the emotional state of 2 different people can totally influence how a horse is going to react and how a horse is going to behave, whether that's from the moment they come and greet them at the stall to the ridden work and the ridden behavior as well. And then there's prior relationship with the horse. So this is especially something I've experienced with like an owner when you're taking your horse to have training done, is if you've had an accident with that horse, or if there's already established patterns of behavior, and this could just be things like, your horse is used to with you, they drag you around on the lunge line or on the lead line, or with you, they kind of ignore your leg because it's become an established pattern. Or when there's been an accident, there can be an element of fear there. And the horse, your horse himself can actually start to serve as kind of a trigger for you in feeling some of those things that came out of the accident. So that can be a challenge that affects the emotional state of one person, maybe of you as the owner, that isn't affecting your trainer in the same way. And then a change in environment. And this especially, again, comes into if you take your horse somewhere to have training done. So this too was a factor that I always had to acknowledge when horses would come in here for training, because I found there were many times that a horse would come in with a list of behavior problems that I was going to be working on, but once they were here in this setting, at our farm here, we have a lot of turnout. Most of the horses are out in fields and on 24/7 turnout, so they're grazing. Even in ones that are like on dry lots and don't have grazing, we feed hay continuously. We work to keep the horses in, find a good group that they're compatible in, and generally it's a pretty low stress environment. So there were many times where horses would come in, and just because of that change in management, I would never even see the behavior problems that the owner was talking about. But if the horse went back and then was in that different management and maybe was in a stall more, then they would see the behavior problems come back up. So this is a really important thing to acknowledge and to think about when you're taking your horse somewhere for training, is it is going to make a difference, for better or for worse, when that horse is in different situations. So there's some references as well. I will list them below if you want to do some more science-based reading on this topic. And now I'd love to hear from you. Has this ever happened to you, this experience of someone else having a different interaction with your horse? Maybe it was positive, maybe it was more negative. Could have been a trainer, a friend. What was that like? What happened? What did you learn from it? So put a comment down below, and I look forward to seeing you there in the comments. Make sure to subscribe as well so that you never miss another one of these weekly videos.